Hello, Matt Matrix 23. I want to do a video on what I feel is a very important subject, and that's the subject of narcissism. Some helpful insights and advice on how to cope with narcissistic abuse, especially for children within families where they have a narcissistic parent. This can be so damaging, more damaging than people realise. I haven't got any qualifications by a credible educational standard. I'm not a qualified psychologist. I haven't been trained in cognitive behavioural therapy. But what I can tell you is that I've been the victim of a narcissistic parent all my life. It's been extremely damaging. But at the same time, the older and wiser I've become, the more I've grown to understand their actions and behaviours and how it isn't a reflection of me and my lack of value or worth. It says more about them and their insecurities. But this might be interesting for some of the younger followers and indeed for some of the adults that follow me too. I would like to share this information with as many people as possible so that the younger followers I do have are going to be carrying the pearls of my wisdom, if you like, onto future generations. Firstly, I'm going to talk about how to identify narcissistic personality traits. I'll then talk about the impact these can have on a child and how children, and indeed adults too, can learn to cope and heal. Firstly, I think it's important to understand that not all parents that have narcissistic personality traits have full-blown narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD. But even subclinical narcissism can seriously affect children's emotional development. Some common traits to look out for can include a general lack of empathy, difficulty in recognizing or even caring about their child's emotional needs. Conditional love. Affection is often given only when the child performs or reflects well on the parent. Control or manipulation, using guilt, shame or fear to manipulate and control. A sense of entitlement, expecting admiration or obedience without question. Projection, blaming the child for their own flaws or indeed their emotional states. A parent may see the child as an extension of themselves, no boundaries, or even ignore them completely. The impact of these traits on the child: chronic self-doubt and low self-esteem, fear of failure or making mistakes, confusion about boundaries or personal identity, hyper-responsibility, feeling responsible for the parent's emotional needs, difficulty trusting others or forming healthy relationships later in life, and a deep yearning for validation and safety. How children and later adults can learn to cope and heal from this abuse. Healing from the effects of a narcissistic parent is a lifelong but very possible process. Here are some life-learned and evidence-based approaches and coping strategies.